Now, how many? Right, before we get going, can everyone take one step backwards? We've just got a little bit of congestion at the front. Amazing, thank you. Now, the numbers have totally exceeded what we actually anticipated. Which unfortunately means we don't think we can march to Parliament Square and back without causing... Don't boo me!
They know we're here.
Yeah, so with the children going to be leading it, what we're going to do is we're going to get the children safely round the back of these buildings to the far end for some photographs, so that people could see what we were trying to achieve here. But the numbers have totally outweighed our expectations.
Thank you very, very much for doing that. It's you that did that. Well done. Thank you so much.
Right, we'll crack on. So, welcome to everyone that's watching. Welcome to everyone that's watching online. A lot of people have had to stay behind to look after animals, so we just need to think about them. Thank you to all this team here that's made this happen. Massive thanks to the Met for allowing this to happen and keeping everybody safe. Come on, you can do better than that. Seriously, from the bottom of my heart, thank you. I'm Olly Harrison. I'm just an arable farmer from near Liverpool. I never thought one day I'd be stood here talking to so many farmers. My family has farmed in Tarbuck for 175 years, with me being the 5th generation, and James dreaming of being the 6th. He's slightly confused. It's a good job his hats fell over his eyes. Me and my father and my ancestors have worked tirelessly over them years to build the farm where it is today. But for now, I could be the last generation to produce food on that land. The government has taken the ability away for me to be able to pass the family farm on in a financially stable way for my 3 children. That makes me so angry, and I know I'm not the only one here today. We all know no one owns a farm. We just look after it for the next generation. I'm really sorry, I had to write all this down so I didn't forget it. I don't normally like a script. Being dyslexic, I can't read either. This reckless budget has already cost some lives. Given that where we are today, by the war memorials, someone's phone's ringing. Can we please just hold a minute's silence to remember those that aren't with us anymore? And those that fed us during 2 world wars. So we'll just take a moment. Thank you. Now, why do we farm? Why do we accept low prices? Why do we put up with low wages and long hours? Why do we risk the family home every day? Why do we put up with this weather? We actually ordered this today just so, so everyone felt at home. I'll tell you why. We farm for our children. We farm to feed the nation. We farm because it's in our blood. And we farm because we love it. No one does it for the money. There is none. I hope you heard that. Is today the beginning of the end for UK farming? Or is it the beginning of some direct action? To save this farming community we all love, that feeds this nation every day, 365 days a year. Some of you may watch my YouTube videos, and I thank you for that. If you've watched recently, you'd know my dad isn't in the best of health. That is why he couldn't be here today. We really did want to have 3 generations here. It would be hard enough to lose a loved member of my family. It would be even harder to lose a business that me and him have built together through nothing more than a family farm tax and political greed. They think they can replace us with importing food. They can't. Feeding a nation on imported food is a dangerous place to be for any country. Just ask them over there. That's the MOD. They understand the importance in food in keeping a nation running. Remember as well, for every pound we spend on importing food, we may never see that back in our economy. Think about that, please, Treasury. The government must listen. Do they know what it's like to get up at 4 a.m. to feed cows and get pooed on? Do they know what it's like to give CPR to a weak lamb? Do they know what it's like to unblock a combine at 2 a.m. with bleeding hands and knuckles because of the thistle in it? Do the government even know where food comes from? Today we come together to show the government we will be heard. Let's unite all businesses that rely on farming. Let's unite all businesses that cannot pass their hard work to the next generation because of this appalling budget. We will not be taxed into bankruptcy. We will not be bribed with political rhetoric. Downing Street, if you can hear us, you need to fix this. For the nation, you have to do this to feed the voters that trusted you. You have to do it for our children. And you have to do it for our grandchildren. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you, every single one of you. You're here to make clear this is an impossible family farm tax for British farmers to pay. I think we're making pretty clear that this doesn't just affect 500 farms. This affects the, 10, 20,000 of you that are here. I've not counted. More? I can't see the back, so yeah, it's a lot. We're here to demonstrate that the government have just got their numbers wrong on this. Very wrong. To demonstrate that family farms, the very foundation of our beautiful British countryside, will be lost forever. The investment will disappear. Our food security will be threatened, and our environment will undoubtedly suffer. Our countryside will end up being owned by the huge institutional and corporate investors that the APR was supposed to stop. I farm the same fields as my grandfather and father did. And I just want my children, Henry, who's here with me today.
Hello.
This is about these guys. It's this generation. It's their opportunity to farm that's been taken away. Yeah, where are we? Bear with me. The tax bill, when my father dies, is just unaffordable. The returns on the capital that we have invested in farming, they just don't provide the kind of income that can cover that 20%. So I'll have to sell. No. Yeah. We're here for today. We need the politicians to sit down to look again at how can they achieve their aims without engineering this destruction of family farms. We want them to meet with us, actual farmers, sit down with us and let us show them how to fix British farming, how to make it great, how to make it sustainable. Let us show you what the generations of knowledge that should be listened to, understood and supported to help grow both our nation's food and the economy.
Hello everybody, I'm Andrew Ward, I farm in Lincolnshire, and like Olly as well, I also have a YouTube channel. It's a pity those people behind those gates don't watch it a bit more. Thank you so much for everybody that's coming here today. The view we have from up here is unbelievable, and talk about emotional, I had tears in my eyes when I came up here about half an hour ago. Thank you so much for supporting us. We really appreciate it, but we will support you. The five of us that have put this together, we have all had a job to do. My job was to look after the food bank and try to get food brought into London. We have had that in tons, and I mean tons. And the idea was to highlight and bring food. The idea was to show the capital just how much value farmers have to the nation. The food that has been delivered here today from all of you, City Harvest is the food bank that we've been dealing with. One of the biggest food banks in London. They are overwhelmed with it. The produce behind this lorry is absolutely fantastic. We will put some figures out eventually on how much has been donated. But thank you so much for taking the time and the trouble to bring it down on coaches and trains. Absolutely massively appreciated by the people who will be distributed. We are clapping you, so thank you very much for that. The whole of today is not just about tax, it's about the whole budget. And we cannot let the government carry on with how they're doing it at the minute. And as Olly said, this is not the end, it is the start of the beginning. As an industry, farming, I think, has the most public support now than we have ever had. We must not let that go. Also, we are being told by the government to eat less meat. Well, they can jog on with that one. And the sooner they realise that farming is the solution and not the problem, the better. And also, we are used to stress, we are used to strains, we are used to dealing with problems. It's normally the weather and it's normally markets, it's not the government. But if they think we're going to back down now, they can think again. So that's it from me. Thank you very much for your support. We really valuably appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you to my four compatriots with James behind the scenes. I'm here to tidy up the remnants. I haven't got a piece of paper. I haven't got a phone. My name's Martin Williams. I come from Herefordshire. I am a third-generation farmer, and I'm very privileged to be able to stand here in front of you, having been a part of this group that have arranged this. I cannot believe how you have turned up. Thank you so, so much. We have got people here across the country. The most fantastic thing about this is the unity that's been shown across the whole of this beautiful island we live on and into Northern Ireland. So for those of you in Ireland, let's give them a big cheer that have taken their time to come here. Big cheer for Ireland. A big cheer for Scotland, please, because they're here too. And in particular, our friends in Wales, who have got all sorts of issues with governmental problems. Give them a big cheer, please, for Wales. Come on. I'm going to pinch some of my speech from some greater statesmen than I. Winston Churchill once said that you can't tax your way to prosperity. This government, unfortunately, despite wanting to hit the ground running, I think it tripped at the election, and at the budget it fell and hit its head on the pavement because they are making grave, grave errors in this economy. We need production. We do not need a cost of living crisis based on tax. That is what we have at the moment. We need prosperity in the countryside, in business, and allow us to do our job. I have in Herefordshire around 1,800 to 2,000 farms. In the government's own misguided figures, they're suggesting 500 of those could go to the wall because of this tax. In 4 years, my county is therefore empty. Is that acceptable? Thank you, because it's a beautiful place, Herefordshire. Beautiful. We want to continue farming. We do not want interference from government. We need to be able to work in an environment that allows us to grow. To tax your ambition is a tax to death, and that is really sad. Greta Thunberg, a fantastic little girl. She also, no, hear me out. We're going to use it because she's great. Greta Thunberg said, shame on you, you're taking away my future. You're taking away our future. And that's what the government is doing to us. So in the words of Greta Thunberg, we are able to deliver on environmental. We are able to deliver on nature. That is what the public want. We are in the position to do it. They are taking that opportunity away through budget cuts and through ambition. We need to stand together. We are a fantastic industry. Look at this mall. It is just fantastic to see so many people here. So can we have 3 cheers, please, for British agriculture and business? Hip hip. Hooray! Hip hip. Hooray! Hip hip. Hooray! Thank you very much. So, we have today got a host for the day because we watched Newsnight the other night. I don't know if you did. And I rang Olly and I said, gosh, that girl's really good. She's standing up for us. And her name happens to be Emily Sheffield. She was the editor of the London Standard. And we got in touch with her on last week after Newsnight. And we met last week and she is willing to host for us today. Because you can see we are not public speakers. Yeah. All right. So I'd like to welcome Emily to the stage. Emily.
No, we need a bigger one than that. Emily!
Hello, everybody. I could not have been more chuffed when these incredible men asked me to come and help out on stage today. And I think let's give all of them a loud cheer, because I know how incredibly hard they have worked to gather you all here today. And you've come today to have your voices heard. Well, right over there is number 11. And in that building is where they came up with a plan to kill off family farms. Rachel Reeves and her advisors are probably in there right now. So in a moment, we are going to count you in. And we are going to make them aware that you are here. Now, there's lots of children in the audience right now. And you know when your parents tell you to not make too much noise? Well, in a minute, you can make as much noise as you want. We are all going to let the Chancellor know that farmers will not be silenced. This cheer you are going to give is for your hard work, your long days and even longer nights. This cheer is for your children's legacy. This is a shout out for your parents and their parents before them, who worked so hard to give you a future. And this is for Olly Harrison's dear friend who didn't make it, and for his family are grieving. We are going to cheer so loudly, you are going to rattle the windows of Downing Street. Now, are you ready?
Yes!
1, 2, 3! Do we think you could do that one more time even louder? Because I think this time you're going to put even more welly into it. British welly. Not those French £400 boots the Honourable Steve Reed wears. Right, let's give it some British welly. Are we ready? 1, 2, 3! Right, well done everybody. I hope that's kept you all a bit warm, because the weather is, well, this is the kind of weather that you're out in every day, feeding people sitting in their cosy offices. So I'm going to start, we've got a lot of speakers today, so I'm going to get on with it. And right now we've got the amazing Claire Wise coming onto stage. She's a 5th generation beef sheep farmer from Durham.
Up the north!
And we've also got Kate Rock, who's the former chairman of the Tenant Farmers Commission and author of the Rock Report.
My God, there's a lot of you. My name's Claire Wise. I'm a beef, sheep and arable farmer from the north of England, and I am average. And I'm here to show those guys over there and the general public what the real average face of British farming looks like. It's not a £1 million pony paddock. It's 300 acres of average wetland. It's an average damp farmhouse. It's a heck of a big mortgage and an overdraft that after the 3 worst harvests on record keeps me awake at night. My land might be worth £4 million on paper, but I will never, and I hope I never, see that cash. In fact, last year I struggled to buy school shoes for our children after harvest. Because farmers are asset rich, but we are cash poor. And yet with one tax based on half a truth, this government seeks to destroy my and your farms forever. But I will not be their statistic. You can listen to my statistics, which you'll share as well. For 5 generations, for 139 years, for 50,375 days, through 2 world wars, through family tragedy, through a COVID epidemic, my family turned up to produce food every single day. Yet this government don't value that. And as my children are young, I have no option to hand my farm over to avoid this tax. Plus, as this budget makes no allowance for sudden death, if I drop down, as miners, they'd have to find hundreds of thousands of pounds on my death. I'm also a sole owner. So these thresholds and reliefs that Rachel Reeves likes to bandy about in the press don't apply to me. No, instead, my farm would be taxed without mercy when I die. With current farm income so low, no bank would lend me the money to get my children out of this hole. And even if they did, it would cripple our business and it wouldn't allow reinvestment or progress for over a decade. You name me one other industry or business that gets told not to reinvest for a decade and to still stand and thrive. The only other option we have to sell land to pay the tax is equally devastating. We should not have to keep getting smaller because we cannot produce food doing that. Whichever way you cut this cake, the end are farms broken, and we will not tolerate that as our future. So what is my worth, and what do the government need to open their ears to? For every £1 my business pays into the rural economy, it generates 7. Beyond just the food on our farm, I also host hundreds of deprived school children every year who otherwise would not step a foot outside of the town. We provide work placements for young people desperate for a career doing something different and outside. We're animal welfare champions. My father and grandfather built our village hall. We actively manage the landscape for tourists to visit and enjoy. On our farm, I'm part of 2 net zero projects, spearheading the farming as a solution to climate change. And yet the government seems to totally forgotten the role farmers play preserving and nurturing the environment. Without us, you have wasteland and bracken. With us, you have a thriving natural environment. You have species rich, you have grassland, you have habitats expanded. Every one of us knows those little pockets of nature on our farm that are truly magical. You take us out and put someone faceless in charge of our farm, they don't know what we know, and as a result, the environment will suffer. We are irreplaceable as environmental champions, and this act by government to try to destroy us all is tantamount to environmental destruction on a mass scale. And above everything, my worth comes from producing safe, traceable, naturally fed food at a cost that allows everyone to enjoy it. We as farmers are the solution to food poverty, and food poverty shames our nation, and we should be doing everything we can to put that right. So our worth goes beyond the land on which we sit. You destroy me and mine, and you rip the heart out of the countryside, out of the environment, and you force food prices up. So my name is Claire Wise. And I'm trying very hard to hold this together for you guys. Let's hear it for Claire. My name is Claire Wise, and like you, I am a true average family farmer. But like you, I will protect that farm with every breath, today, tomorrow, and for however long it takes to stop this. And that is what the government underestimates. Because I might be an average farmer, but I'm also an extraordinary human, and so is every one of you that's turned out here today. So I'll finish again with the statistics that really matter. 5 generations, 139 years on my farm, 50,375 days, and 3 children who believe in me and you to save their futures. So buckle up, Starmer, because you're not going to win this fight.
Woo! Let's hear it for Claire.
Come on!
Come on, guys.
She's come a long way!
Brilliant. Hi, everyone. I'm Kate Rock, and I'm really proud to be a tenant farmer. Let's hear it for the tenant farmers out there.
She's gonna rock this place!
2 years ago, I was the author of an independent government review that looked at the future for our tenant farmers. The core message was simple. It focused on landowners and tenant farmers working together to do what every single one of you here do today: produce food and deliver for nature recovery. Every single one of us here today do those 2 important things. Every single farmer here is a custodian of our land for future generations. I can see all the kids out there. Come on, kids, let's hear it. The future generations. But today, I want to speak about tenant farmers. I farm with my dad, who's 85, in the West Country. And tenant farmers look after 1/3 of England's farmland, but they don't own the land. There are tenant farmers here today who are worried about their futures and the unintended consequences that this budget will have on them. Less than 2 years ago, Keir Starmer, when he was leader of the opposition, told farmers that he understood the challenges to our farm businesses. And he vowed, and I quote him here, to quickly implement a fair deal for tenant farmers building on the work of the Rock Review. That included a reform to inheritance tax that would have encouraged longer-term farm tenancies. Now, I don't imagine for one moment that Rachel Reeves and Steve Reed have really understood the completely devastating impact that their budget measures will have on hard-working family tenant farmers. I want to concentrate today on 3 measures that I think will have a material impact on our farming future. 1, changes to de-linked farm payments. 2, changes to employers' national insurance contributions. And 3, changes to inheritance tax. First, there are many farmers who are really worried about how they are going to pay their rent. And they're really worried about how they're going to pay their rent because this budget, the de-linked farm payments, have now been capped at £8,000 next year. £8,000.
That should have got a boo.
Secondly, changes to national insurance contributions. It's going to make it really much harder to employ a farm worker and much more expensive. And third, for tenant farmers, the impact of changes to agricultural property relief and business property relief will mean that the tenant farmers face the stark reality that their landlord may well be forced to evict their tenants and sell that land to pay for an inheritance tax bill. There's also a real concern that landlords just won't invest in their tenants' farms simply for fear of increasing their farm value for tax. So the budget changes completely destroy any incentive landlords have to rent out land or to invest in existing tenant land. We need to encourage new entrants into farming. Young farmers, where are you, all you young farmers out there? Forward-thinking farmers. Progressive farmers. And becoming a tenant farmer is often a first step into farming. In one hammer blow, this budget changes will neither fill tax coffers nor incentivise real change for food security and for the environment, supporting resilience in our farming communities. This government needs to think again. It is not too late. Listen to our united farming voice. Support our nation's farmers. Thank you.
Thank you very much to Kate and Claire. Now, are you warm enough out there? So now, our next speaker, we've got Baroness Malalieu. I hope I've pronounced that correct. I'm sorry, James was meant to be on here to introduce her. So Baroness, do please come on, take my mic, and give her a loud cheer, everyone, please. She's been on Radio 4, the Today programme this morning, making your case. Come on, give her a cheer!
Friends, fellow farmers, you are right to be angry. I'm a Labour peer, and I'm ashamed and I'm embarrassed that the government that I support is treating you so shabbily. We all know you've been hit.
Have we got the medics, please? Front of the stage, over to the right. Can we have some medics, please?
We just need a medic over by the fast track, by that, is it the Union Jack flag? By the lamppost. A first aider, please. By the door. So if there's a medic, can make the way down to by that door behind that lamppost, that'd be amazing. Have we got someone on the way? Pink hat. Yeah. So we're all good now. Sorry. Thank you, everyone.
I hope I didn't cause that. You've been treated shabbily, and at a time when we all know you've already been hit by costs for almost everything you need to produce food. You've been burdened by petty bureaucracy, which I cannot believe any other industry bears. You've been battered by floods, the complexity over the changes in farm payments, and then the unkindest cut of all, because it strikes, this policy, not just at you, the farmer, but your family and your home. There are many of us within the Labour Party, you may not believe it, but there are, who see all that. And indeed, the poll which came out yesterday showed that cross-party support for you runs right across all the political parties. I'm not going to read the whole of this out because you're waiting to hear from the people who are at the head of politics. But as things stand, no political party in this country can win a working majority without rural seats. When Tony Blair took office, there were over 100 rural Labour MPs. You may remember that the government launched an attack on the rural way of life then, and that expression which we heard only last week, payback for the miners, was used then too. John Major said that the resentment it generated would last a generation. And he was right, because Labour's rural MPs were reduced to just 17, and no Labour government was elected for 14 years. I can't believe that we're making the same mistake again. This is not just a numerical miscalculation, but a serious political one too. This week in the Lords, I spoke against this proposal from the Labour benches, and from every bench in that House, Conservative, Liberal Democrat, crossbenchers, and even the bishops, speakers condemned this policy. You have the backing of the nation for what you are doing here today. When I was a child, I remember going with some pigs to see Nye Bevan at his farm in Buckinghamshire. Jim Callaghan had a farm. And if you ask the last generation who was the greatest Labour Minister of Agriculture, it would have been Tom Williams, Labour. Governments need goodwill, and this one is going to need your cooperation if it's going to be successful. The choice is theirs. They can continue to insist that they're right and refuse to make any changes and dig that hole deeper and deeper, or they can accept that some parts of this policy were wrong and they can sit down with the farming community and its leaders and put it right. A good government would choose the second. We shall see.
Ladies and gents, I'm James. I'm a farmer. I wake up every day and I'm incredibly proud to say that I'm a farmer. You all stood here should be incredibly proud of who you are and the communities that you represent. And we wanted to bring Anne today because we don't just need each other. There are a select group of people in the House of Commons down the road that need leadership. Anne has just offered us leadership. Mr. Starmer has a massive majority. His MPs need someone to look to that understands that this isn't just about the thousands of people that stood before me. It's about the communities that you live in. It's about the snow that you clear, the parish rooms that you tend to, the hedges that you cut, the ditches that you maintain. This lady understands that. You need to make sure that all of their MPs understand that. So when you leave here, you don't leave and just think our job is done. You leave and you write. You leave and you go to your constituency meeting. You hammer home point after point after point that your placards make. But you do it with the dignity that you farm with every day. You should be proud of who you are. And that is why this lady stands before you. So I would like you all, please, to thank her with an absolute rip-roarer.
Now please help me in welcoming Ed Davey, leader of the Liberal Democrat Party. Now during the election, we got used to seeing him on a canoe, going down a water slide, or falling in a lake. But today, he's here to support you. And although it pains me somewhat to say this, his party does now hold a lot of rural seats, and you need their support in Parliament. So please, a loud cheer for Ed Davey.
Thank you. Thank you. It is so great to see you all here today. And I am proud to be standing with you. You deserve so much better. The Liberal Democrats will be standing up for farmers because you have really got a case here. This really matters. Hello! You are the ones that put food on the table. You are...
Wait. Do you need another medic? Yes, okay. Can we get another medic, please? Can we get another medic? Can you see it's over by the statue? I should know who that is. Have we got a medic on their way? Okay. Sorry, we're going to keep these speeches brief. We realise it's cold. A lot of children out there. Ed, back to you.
Well, I hope our friend over there as well, let us give a cheer for them. Because they're part of us, they're part of you. You're putting food on our tables. You're the beating heart of our rural communities. You're the ones caring for our countryside and looking after our precious environment. And it's been so incredibly difficult for farming for so long. You've had to face rising energy bills, rising fertilizer bills, feed bills. Then you've had the botched transition from the basic payment scheme. Then you've had trade deals that prevent you from selling your produce into Europe but allow Australian, New Zealand farmers to undercut you here. And that's all before some of the worst weather and flooding in generations. You have had it hard, and this government doesn't seem to realise that. I've heard this from farmers across the country. You're fed up, and you've been taken for granted for far too long. You thought the last government would look after you, and I'm afraid they didn't. And many farmers voted for change. But you found you've got a government that just isn't listening to you. And that is so wrong. If they understood you, if they understood what you do and how important you are to our economy, our society, our food security, they wouldn't be imposing this outrageous, unfair family fare tax. They say, well, farms are worth a lot, but they're only worth a lot on paper. When you add in all the costs you have to pay, there are many farmers who aren't even earning the minimum wage. Now, you are feeding our families and you're struggling to feed your own. That is just so wrong. And this family farm tax, if it goes through, is not just cruel, but it's stupid. It's stupid. Who is going to buy your farms? It'll be the private equity guys, the big corporates. It won't be the young farmers, will it? And they don't get it. For years, DEFRA and the market have been pushing family farms to become bigger and bigger just to remain viable, just so you could afford the investment. And then Treasury turns around, this new government turns around and says it's going to tax you. That is just so wrong. And I'm afraid the future looks even tougher. If they go ahead not just with this tax rise, but removing the support, they're proposing now to cut the basic payment by 76% next year. Slashing payments, putting up taxes, all when you've already had such a hard time. They just don't get it. And you know, they are coming after you when they're leaving those organisations, the people who actually could afford to pay in the budget. You know, there are some sectors making huge profits, the social media giants, the online gambling firms, some of the big banks. They're making profits that are eye-watering, which you would just dream of. But they've left them alone and they've come after you. They just don't get it. And they don't seem to realise that if farmers can't make the sums add up, there won't be food on our tables. They'll be closing down and selling up. And who's going to look after the countryside then? We must get ministers to understand. We must get ministers to listen. You're doing a fantastic job today. And I can tell you that all 72 Liberal Democrat MPs will be pushing this government, not just today, but every day, until they listen, until they understand. We are going to fight for our rural communities. We're going to fight for support for farmers. We're going to fight to stop this family farm tax. I have just one ask of you. I want you to continue to do what you are the best in the world at doing, producing high quality food for our country. You've been disincentivized for far too long to do what you are the best at. So please keep doing it, and we will stand by you every step of the way. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Ed Davey. Big cheer for Ed Davey. Brilliant. Yeah. Thank you. How is everybody? So now we've got Kemi Badenoch. She's the new leader of the Conservative Party. Now, as I said, you need every single MP's help in Parliament to make sure that Finance Act doesn't get signed off. So please, give Kemi and Victoria Atkins the loudest cheer you've got.
Hello, everybody. I'm going to start off with a simple message. This policy is cruel, it is unfair, and it is going to destroy farming as we know it. And that is why we will, at the very first opportunity, reverse the family farms tax. I have here with me Victoria Atkins and Robbie Moore. They are the shadow ministers who are watching what the Department for the Environment, Farming and Rural Affairs is doing. They're watching the Treasury. We are the team that are working for you. We know the burden that farmers are carrying. A lot of people think that farming is just a business. It is not just a business. It is a way of life. It is about family. It is about the land. It is about the environment. It is about our food. We cannot survive without you. I want you to know that we have your backs. We are all, and Neil is here too, Neil Hudson. We are all MPs who have rural constituents. We cover the rural communities. We know what farming is like. We understand that you have no certainty. We know that bad weather, a bad harvest could put you out of business. We know that you are buffeted every day by what happens all around the world. We know that you need protection. We understand that you have been doing this all your lives, that without you, we cannot eat. We understand the burden that farmers carry, not just for yourselves, but for the whole country. We understand how difficult it is when you're negotiating with supermarkets. We understand how difficult it is when you're looking at prices for fertilizer. We know what you are dealing with, and that is why we know how this tax will destroy your way of life, and that is why we are going to reverse it. But I want you all, thank you, I want you all to know this, that farming in this country is absolutely critical for growth. And it is also about the hope that we give to young people. I have a lot of young farmers in my constituency. Victoria, Robbie, and Neil do too. We speak to them, and they are worried. They don't want to have to pay inheritance tax and be paying off to the Treasury for 20, 30 years before they even start making a profit. They will leave farming, and if we don't have a next generation, there will be no future. So I want to say to all the young farmers out there, to all the young people out there, we are going to look after you. We are going to make sure that you have a future. We are doing this for you. It is not about us. This is about you. This is about making sure that your way of life continues, that our way of life continues. Farming is the backbone of this country. Without it, we cannot survive. We know that we haven't always got it right, but this policy is so obviously unfair, so obviously cruel. We will do everything we can to make sure that in a few years' time, if they do not U-turn now, we will reverse this tax. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much, Kemi. Big cheer for Kemi Badenoch. Now remember how loudly you cheered when we were trying to get number 11 to know you were here. I know you've got some horns out there. 1, 2, 3, cheer!
Thanks, everyone. Thank you. Great turnout. Thanks, Emily. Thanks, Olly. Hello, everybody. You're right, I'm not supposed to be here. I'm not supposed to be talking. But we've got a few things to say. And I'm going to start with a bit of honesty. I lived in London 25, 30 years. And when I was here, like a lot of people who live in cities and go on Twitter, I thought farmers drove around in Range Rovers, moaning, until February, and then you all went skiing. And then about 5 years ago, I started farming. And I've come to understand just how unbelievably difficult it is, and complicated, and dangerous, and cold. Very cold. Even when we're harvesting, it's cold. And it's just the forest of costs that staggered me. £200,000. Okay, so, as we all know, everyone down there, you know a tractor. £200,000 for a medium-sized one. A combine, £500,000. All the equipment costs a fortune. And if you try to price what you're selling to accommodate that, there's just a lot of moaning. You get people saying, well, I shouldn't pay that. I can get a chicken from abroad. Yeah, you can. But it's so full of chlorine, it tastes like a swimming pool with a beak. And then you've got the environmentalists endlessly shouting at you, oh, your cows, they're altering the composition of the gases in the upper atmosphere, and your fertilizers ruining the trouty freshness of our streams and rivers. And I know sometimes you just think, well, what's the point? We're just trying to make breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and it's just this endless whinging, and there's no money in it. And the regulations. Some of you down there will know what I'm on about when I say we got a lot of GS4 this year on the farm. And we were told, oh, the sheep will love that. No, they don't. They're standing looking at it in the same way that a 5-year-old looks at an olive. They don't want to eat it. And so we have all of this complication and all of this cost. And there's very, very little money in it. Very little money, as you know. And then we got the budget. Now, I know a lot of people all across the country in all walks of life took a bit of a kick on the shin with that budget. You lot got a knee in the nuts and a light hammer blow to the back of the head. Because we had pickup trucks, double cab pickup trucks, being reclassified as company cars. 211% tax rise there. £50 carbon tax on a bag of fertiliser. The basic farm payments altered in such a way that we're getting a lot less than we thought we were going to get. And then there was the inheritance tax business. Honestly, I don't know where to start. I know you've heard a lot about it today, and I'm not going to dwell on that. I will just say this. Rachel Reeves has told us, what is it, 72%? 72% of farms are going to be unaffected by this. I've just been interviewed by Victoria Derbyshire for Newsnight. Let's see if we can educate her here, if she's still around, Victoria. How many people here, if you'd raise your hands, are from a family farm? I want to see, right. I hope we can see that. I hope we've got our cameras from the show up high to see. That's a lot of hands. Now, keep them up, and I want you to lower them if you think, and you've had time to work this out, you think you're going to be unaffected by the changes to APR and BPR. Put your hands down if you're going to be unaffected. Thank you. My case rests. I want Newsnight to see that. She was trotting out. Nobody's affected. Rachel Reeves says so. Since when was the BBC the mouthpiece of this infernal government? I've got to get the brakes on. The trouble is I'm off my tits on codeine and paracetamol up here. I don't know what I'm saying. But I do want to finish, if I may, with a message to the government. I do. Not a shouty one. It's this. For the sake of everybody here, and for all the farmers who are stuck at home today, paralysed by a fog of despair over what's been foisted upon them, I beg of the government to be big, to accept that this was rushed through, it wasn't thought out, and it's a mistake. That's the big thing to do, admit it, and back down. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.